Hi everyone, so let's start with the Angular interview question and answers. Some most common questions that can be asked in the interview will be discussed here. So first of all, what is Angular? So Angular is a framework and a platform actually which is used for building client-side web applications. And we are using TypeScript language in it. And actually the previous version of Angular was called AngularJS. Anything before the version 2 of Angular is AngularJS. And this newer version, which is based on TypeScript, this framework is called Angular 2 Plus. It's Angular. It's commonly referred to as Angular instead of AngularJS. And that's also our next question. Uh, uh, what's the difference between AngularJS and Angular? So AngularJS is actually the original version of Angular, which was based on JavaScript. And this is now considered outdated, and now Angular 2 Plus is the new version, and it's referred to as Angular only instead of AngularJS. And this Angular is only based on JavaScript. As I said, that's the main difference also, that you have one based on JavaScript, one based on uh, TypeScript. Of course, there are other improvements as well. There are other features that are added to Angular now. AngularJS didn't have those features, and also the performance is very improved. So the next question is like, what is data binding in Angular? So data binding is actually a feature in Angular that allows automatic synchronization of data between the view and the model behind the view. View is of course, this web area that you see, and the model is behind the logic, or the model behind the data model. So that's this feature that allows its synchronization, or this flow of data, you can say, that is called data binding. And there are two types of data bindings: one-way data binding and two-way data binding. Let's go through that question first. Um, Maybe that we can explain that later. Uh, so actually, one-way data binding is from model to the view, and two-way data binding is even if it is both ways, like with data from the data flow from the view to the model, and also from model to the view. And if in two-way data binding, we have this ng model directive. Maybe you have seen that if you know Angular. Uh, okay, what are the components now in Angular? This is a very important question. Components, we know, are the basic building blocks of Angular. They are, it's like, they are, self-contained, reusable um, parts of the code that can be used or reused in different ways, and in associated behaviors. We can show you that by example. For example, we have a root component which is called the app component, and when we want to define a component, we always use this directive. And we import this library from the Angular core, and here is the name of the component and the template that is associated with this component. And you do it like this: export class app component, to make it available to the other parts of the core, so that it can be used. Uh, yeah, in the same way, we can define our header components, which can be reused by different parts of the code, because the header will be the same on different web pages, or the sidebars, whatever. Here we have, for example, a product list component defined, and this is the HTML page or the URL of this product list component. That's the name of this component, and that's how we export it. Uh, Let's see the next question. Yeah, explain one-way and two-way data binding. So I've already covered this in the previous question. So one-way data binding is it binds data from the model to the view, or vice versa. It's only one way. So it's not simultaneous in both directions. at the same time. It's either from model to view or from view to model. So that's the correct thing. It can be from view to model or model to view, but it is one way at a time. But two-way data binding is data flow in both directions, simultaneously. And you use it's achieved. You use this ng model directive in Angular to do this two-way data binding. Okay, explain the Angular module and its purpose. So module is actually it's a container which contains different directives, pipes, services like for example providers. So it contains our imports and it defines the application structure and the dependencies on it. And components of course play a crucial role in Angular's. Okay, this is the components that are also part of this Angular modules, and we will have an example here. So you see here we have import, uh, which we are importing this directive gmodel, and then different components, and this product list component, and then we have some declarations here, and then we have some imports here again. Then we have providers. We can define here these services here. Uh, and the next is like at the end you export this class because the name of the module is app module, so that it can be used by other parts of the code. And so what are Angular directives? Directives are instructions actually that Angular use to modify the behavior or appearance. Like you must have seen ng if, ng for, ng class directives, just like we have if and for and these kind of directives in these kind of statements in normal programming. For Angular we have ng if, ng for, to make different kinds of decisions uh, and to change the behavior based on some conditions and things like this, or the appearance. So appearance, for that appearance we use the ng class.